guiding force for our debaters here from the Convent High School and the Wesley High School. We ask that we do all things this afternoon in your name and that we have a successful debate this afternoon. We thank you for bringing us here safely, and we ask for safe passage for all those who are still on their way. Lord, we make this prayer in your name. Amen. Okay, thank you. You may be seated. Good afternoon once again. My name is Trudy Christian, for those who do not know me, and I am the organizer of the Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition, amongst other things, but that's the role that I possibly enjoy the most. So I welcome you to the final debate of round one of the 2025 edition of the Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition. Thus far, the debates have been very competitive this week, and it has been a good round one, and I expect no different this afternoon. So what I will start off by doing is letting you know what it is that we are going to do here this afternoon as it relates to the debate, the expectations, and the rules. This afternoon's debate between the Convent High School and the Wesley High School will follow the following procedure. What will happen is that the leader of the proposing team will make her case for a maximum of 10 minutes, and then the leader of the opposing team will make her case for a maximum of 10 minutes as well. Then we'll have the seconder from the proposing team make her case for a maximum of 7 minutes, and the seconder of the opposing team make her case for a maximum of 7 minutes. After this time, we will have a 5-minute break in which the debaters, the lead debater, along with their seconder, will prepare a rebuttal. So 5 minutes, and in this time, the audience will be invited to be as silent as possible to allow the debaters that opportunity to prepare their rebuttal. And then the lead of the proposition will give a 3-minute rebuttal, and the lead of the opposition will do the same. So this is the procedure that is going to be followed this afternoon. There is a timekeeper in place, and the debaters will have to take note of the timekeeper. She will indicate when there are 3 more minutes left, when there is 1 more minute left, and ultimately when time is up. The debaters will have a 1-minute possibility of being over, after which the judges may deduct points for going over time. Okay, so this is the procedure for this afternoon's debate. Now, let's get to this afternoon's debate topic. What is up for discussion this afternoon? This afternoon, the topic for debate will be: the recent body positivity movement is dangerous because it has led to the desensitization of adolescents to the health risks associated with obesity. So I will repeat the topic for this afternoon's debate. The recent body positivity movement is dangerous because it has led to the desensitization of adolescents to the health risks associated with obesity. Proposing this topic will be the Convent High School, and opposing will be the Wesley High School. Before I introduce the debaters to take center stage, let me introduce the judges for this afternoon's debate. So this afternoon, we have on our judging panel, Dr. Barry Kazemi. Dr. Kazemi, you can wave. So Dr. Kazemi holds a PhD in educational leadership. He is the program officer here at the UWI Global Campus, and he's a Solihull man and has told me that he's very into sports. So we welcome Dr. Barry Kazemi to the judging panel this afternoon. Also on the judging panel is Mrs. Antonia Yankee, and she can wave. Well, she's the only lady on the panel, so you know who she is. She works with the Ministry of Education as a guidance counselor for the North District, and she's works with schools from Collyho to Marigot. So Barry, that's your area. She's also the founder and manager of a home for the elderly located in Salisbury. We welcome to the judging panel, Antonia Yankee. And our chief judge this afternoon is Mr. Kevin Julian. And Mr. Julian, make your presence known. Mr. Julian is an attorney at law, and he currently practices criminal law at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Mr. Julian has a passion for debating, having participated in the National Mock Parliament in 2008, the Kiwanis Club debating competition in 2009, and the Clark Gittins and Farmer Mooting competition in 2021 while he was at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus. So we welcome to the judging panel, Mr. Kevin Julian. This afternoon, we have a full house, and of course, I did not acknowledge, but let me acknowledge the listeners and viewers on DBS Radio and on Dominica News Online. So we are carrying these proceedings live. And for the people in the room, if you'd like to, as I always say, share the live, you can do so at this time. DBS Radio's YouTube channel and Dominica News Online, DBS Radio frequency 89.5 as well. Now, let me introduce the debaters who will be representing the two schools competing this afternoon. On the proposing side, from the Convent High School, we have Miss Danica Paul, and Miss Paul is a fourth former, and she's in the science class. She's told me she plays the guitar, doesn't want me to say she's a musician, but she plays the guitar and she loves nature. Miss Paul, I welcome you to your side. And the second speaker from the Convent High School will be Miss Alejandra Gordon. She is a fourth former as well. And she said to me that she likes art, drawing, and the environment, and she's a member of the 4-H Club. I welcome to the front Miss Alejandra Gordon of the Convent High School. This afternoon, opposing the moot will be the Wesley High School, and I'll now invite the debaters from the Wesley High School to the front. The first speaker is Miss Neola Aline. Did I say that correctly? Niola Aline, and she's a fourth former, and she told me that she's an athlete and she participates in track and field. So Miss Niola Aline, first speaker from the Wesley High School. The second speaker from the Wesley High School will be Miss Adore Defoe. She is a fourth former as well, and she has told me that she is a singer, and possibly she might be singing in the debate. We don't know. Miss Defoe, I welcome you to the front. So the debaters are in place. Our judges are ready. I believe, audience, you are more than ready, correct? Yes, so now it is debate time. I will repeat the topic one more time. This afternoon, the Convent High School is proposing the moot, and the Wesley High School is opposing the moot of the recent body positivity movement is dangerous because it has led to the desensitization of adolescents to the health risks associated with obesity. I'd now like to call on the first speaker from the proposing team, the Convent High School, and that is Miss Danica Paul. She has 10 minutes in which to present her arguments. Let us now welcome her to the podium. Miss Paul.
Madam Moderator, judges, my worthy opponents, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. In the words of DJ Khaled, another one. Society has developed yet another way to ruin the future of our youth. My teammates and I are fully in support of the moot. The recent body positivity movement is dangerous because it has led to the desensitization of adolescents to the health risks associated with obesity. I shall be focusing on the present outlook of the topic, specifically on 3 main points. Firstly, the consequences of obesity are real and dangerous. Secondly, children are impressionable. Thirdly, trends are only trendy when your body can handle it. My partner's attention shall be directed on the future outlook and non-physical consequences as she explores the points. Obesity negatively affects mental health, and future health is more important than profit. Before I begin my substantive arguments, please allow me to define the elements which are crucial in this debate. Body positivity, as defined by the American National Institute of Health, is the philosophy that all people deserve to view themselves and their bodies in a positive light, regardless of how society dictates what is and is not the ideal body type or beauty standard. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, desensitization is the process of causing someone to experience something, usually an emotion or a pain, less strongly than before. The World Health Organization, the world's leading health institution, defines obesity as abnormal or excessive fat accumulation that presents a risk to health. A body mass index over 25 is considered overweight, and over 30 is obese. The same organization defines adolescent as a phase of life between childhood and adulthood from ages 10 to 19. Now that we have all become acquainted with the key terms, allow me to reestablish my first point. The consequences of obesity have not been fabricated to keep us from looking the way we want to, but instead are real and dire. According to the World Health Organization, being obese is a strong predictor of whether or not a person develops non-communicable diseases, such as cardiovascular diseases, cancer, and diabetes. In fact, in 2019, out of 55 million global deaths, 5 million were as a result of non-communicable diseases related to being overweight or obese. The institution also noted that people who are morbidly obese often die between the ages of 40 and 45 and do not make it to 50. Based on this data alone, it is easily observable that obesity decreases quality of life and introduces life-threatening risks into what may otherwise be a long and healthy life. However, these truths do not only lie in the statistics. If we pay attention and look around at our communities, how many people do we see dying far before their time? How many adolescents and young adults do we see suffering crippling ailments due to obesity? Like diabetes, which are sicknesses we only used to see in our elders. Let's not delude ourselves. Obesity's impact is disastrous. For that matter, Madam Moderator, the prevalence of obesity among adolescents globally has dramatically increased, from just 8% in 1990 to 20% in 2022, according to the World Health Organization, with that figure notably spiking significantly in 2015 from 10% to 13%, when social media use by adolescents also increased, with a secondary significant spike to 16% in 2016, which, Madam Moderator, is when TikTok became immensely popular. Which brings me to my second point. Adolescents are easily influenced. Adolescence is a time when the brain is not fully developed. It is a time of change, when our ideas about the world and the ways we apply those ideas are flimsy and not always based on the best reasoning. To all the adults listening, I beg you to reflect on your childhood. I assure you that in some of those memories, you were quick to follow misguided trends. In many cases, this was due to the adults around you who had a deep level of influence on you. Now, imagine that level of impressionability exposed to young people by major apps like TikTok and Instagram, where anybody can share anything, good or bad, without having any professional license. This is how most social media trends arise, from the trivial dances all the way to the major doctrines concerning body image and health. As these doctrines spread, apathy towards our health often spreads with them. In an interview with Dominica's chief medical officer, Dr. Lenora Drago, she stated that many of the young people who come into her office preface their visits with the words, "I saw it on TikTok," or "I read it on Instagram." The influencers on these apps, as their title suggests, have enormous influence on our youth. Lastly, trends are only trendy while your body can handle it. The body positivity movement is currently carried on the backs of the influencers who rely on the movement as a source of income. Surely then, their undying conviction in their beliefs will mean that they're fully at peace with their current bodies. Right? Wrong. Many self-titled fatfluencers have distanced themselves from the movement in recent years in favor of more traditional approaches to bodily health. One such example of this is an influencer by the name of Nicholas Perry, better known as Nikocado Avocado. Nikocado Avocado built his platform over a course of 7 years by sharing videos of himself eating excessive amounts of food. Due to this, Nikocado Avocado underwent tremendous weight gain, and with that, developed serious physical complications. Finally, after a 7-month internet hiatus, Nikocado Avocado returned 114 kilograms lighter, having followed an intentional weight loss program. Of course, this was only after years of publicly glorifying the same unhealthy habits which had brought him to this point and this level of fame. By this time, many a naive adolescent had seen his content and felt emboldened to replicate exorbitant consumption of fast food. On the other hand, not enough had seen Nikocado Avocado reduced to tears, stating, "I had goals, I had dreams, and I threw it all away to eat food." All this because, after years of suffering from symptoms such as chronic pain and fatigue, in order to sell a brand, I suppose the strain placed on one's body outweighs the thrill of following a trend. With a trend like this, something of a time limit is set until even the illusion of glamour wanes, and your body will tell you when it's time to drop the whole affair. But Madam Moderator, even after the weight has been shed, complications such as arthritis, excess skin, which may breed lethal skin infections, and the other non-communicable diseases they already developed will permanently loom over formerly obese people. Madam Moderator, allow me to close my argument with a question beloved by parents. If your friend was jumping off a cliff, would you follow? A fair portion of today's youth could not honestly answer no, because they're following these influencers over that cliff. Therefore, it must be the goal of those in charge to steer adolescents back on the right path. Movements in opposition to fatfluencers can and should be brought forth, using the exact same platforms these people utilize. For health is wealth, and a society where youth are acutely aware of and interested in their health will prosper. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. For the judges, she took 10 minutes and 8 seconds. I now invite the lead speaker from the opposing team from the Wesley High School, Miss Niola Arlene, I'll get it, to deliver her arguments. She has 10 minutes in which to do so. Niola?
Honorable judges, Madam Moderator, organizers, esteemed opponents, and my respected colleague, good afternoon. My colleague and I are here today to strongly oppose the motion that the recent body positivity movement is dangerous because it has led to the desensitization of adolescents to the health risk associated with obesity. I will convince you that the recent body positivity movement is not dangerous because 1, it promotes holistic health, 2, it counters harmful impacts of diet culture, and 3, it offers a safe space to pursue health. My able colleague will prove that it has not led to the desensitization of adolescents to the health risks associated with obesity. To ensure clarity in this debate, permit me to define the key terms. Desensitization. According to the Oxford Dictionary, desensitization is to make people less sensitive. Dangerous. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, dangerous means able or likely to cause harm or injury. Obesity. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, obesity is a medical condition in which excess body fat accumulates to the extent that it may harm health. Typically, it is diagnosed when an individual's body mass index is 30 or higher, BMI. Adolescents, according to the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, adolescents are individuals aged 10 to 19 who are in a transitional stage of development characterized by physical, emotional, and psychological growth. Body positivity movement. According to the National Eating Disorders Association, NEDA, the body positivity movement is a movement that promotes the acceptance of all body types, challenges harmful societal beauty standards, and encourages individuals to appreciate and respect their bodies. Madam Moderator, honorable judges, am I hearing my most worthy opponents correctly? Are they trying to tell us that this movement, which is an empowering and powerful force that promotes self-acceptance, counters harmful societal pressures, and fosters an improved relationship with holistic health and well-being, is dangerous? Really? Well, based on the definitions, without a shadow of a doubt, we can assert that the body positivity movement is not at all dangerous. Body positivity movement promotes holistic health. Firstly, let's compare the holistic health ideas of the body positivity movement with measures like body mass index, BMI. Many use of body mass index, BMI, as a measurement of obesity based on height and weight. But evidence suggests that BMI is not a sufficient measure of health. A 2018 study published in The Lancet found that BMI is an inadequate health metric as it overlooks key factors like genetics, muscle mass, and overall fitness. It is possibly to have a higher BMI and still maintain good health, such as normal blood pressure and cholesterol levels. The body positivity movement acknowledges this, and it provides a more balanced approach as it takes into account all of these factors in promoting healthy living, high BMI or not. A 2020 study in Psychology and Health revealed that adolescents exposed to body positivity campaigns experience reduced body dissatisfaction, higher self-esteem, and increased motivation to engage in health-positive behaviors like regular exercise and balanced nutrition. Again, I ask, is that dangerous? Not at all. Madam Moderator, so tell me, which is dangerous? Reducing BMI to a single number or loving your body and protecting your well-being? Certainly not the latter. Permit me to repeat, the movement does not deny the risks of obesity, but rather focuses on fostering a positive relationship with one's mental, physical, and emotional well-being. You will agree that when adolescents feel supported and confident, they are more likely to engage in sustainable and healthier practices. Secondly, body positivity counters the harmful impacts of diet culture. My most worthy opponent, diet culture promotes the relentless pursuit of thinness through extreme measures, often at the cost of physical and mental health. Consequently, eating disorders have become a major health risk. According to NIDA, 95% of individuals with eating disorders are between the ages of 12 and 25. These disorders often stem from societal pressure to conform to unattainable beauty standards. My most worthy opponents, do we want adolescents to harm themselves physically, mentally, and emotionally in the name of fitting into a narrow societal standard? Well, the body positivity movement has saved the day and seeks to decrease that societal pressure. How harmful is that? Rather, it is a blessing in disguise. Body positivity promotes healthier outcomes by fostering self-worth. Mental health problems can creep in when body shaming or discrimination is the norm. A Journal of Adolescent Health Study 2021 reported that adolescents who face weight-based discrimination are 43% more likely to suffer from anxiety and depression. Diet culture perpetuates these harmful outcomes by stigmatizing larger bodies and equating thinness with worthiness. However, the body positivity movement directly challenges these narratives by advocating for respect and acceptance of all body types. This shift fosters self-worth and resilience, which are essential for mental health and overall well-being. Thirdly, body positivity offers a safe space to pursue health at one's own pace. This movement promotes a welcoming, inclusive, and non-judgmental and non-threatening environment, all of which are synonymous to harmless. One where individuals can prioritize their health without feeling a need to change their bodies. Additionally, body positivity movement is not dangerous, since it supports and encourages sustainable change. A 2015 study in the International Journal of Obesity demonstrated that individuals who feel supported and free from stigma are more likely to adopt sustainable, healthy behaviors, such as regular exercise and balanced eating, as opposed to resorting to harmful crash diets or extreme fitness regimens. Madam Moderator, is it not better to support adolescents in their journey toward health rather than shame them into a destructive behavior? For instance, if adolescents experience weight bias from healthcare providers, aren't they more likely to put off getting care in the future? Well, that's what you should consider dangerous. Hence, we must debunk the harmful myth that shame is a healthy motivator. Instead, supporting the movement ideals will help adolescents in their health journey. Here are some scientific evidence supporting body positivity. A 2013 study in Body Image found that individuals practicing body acceptance were more likely to engage in health-promoting behaviors such as regular exercise and mindful eating. A 2003 study in the Journal of Counseling Psychology reported that self-compassion, an integral part of body positivity, leads to lower levels of anxiety, depression, and body shame. WHO data 2021 indicates that addressing weight stigma and promoting mental health improves adolescents' well-being and motivates healthier lifestyle choices. My most worthy opponents, if body positivity fosters mental resilience and better health choices, how can it possibly be dangerous? I respectfully decline the argument that body positivity poses a danger. Research shows that it leads to better mental health and healthier lifestyle choices. In conclusion, body satisfaction and appreciation has been linked to better overall well-being and fewer unhealthy dieting behaviors, according to Mental Health Organization. My most worthy opponents, take note. Weight stigma and lack of self-love can hurt immensely in so many ways. Hence, the body positivity movement is by no stretch of the imagination dangerous. In fact, it is a breath of fresh air. Madam Moderator, to say that the body positivity movement is dangerous is indeed erroneous and misleading. Thank you.
Thank you, Nayola. For the judges, her time was 9 minutes and 56 seconds. I'd now like to call on the second speaker from the proposing team, the Convent High School, Miss Alejandra Gordon, to the podium. Miss Gordon will have 7 minutes in which to deliver her arguments. Miss Gordon.
Good afternoon to the moderator, judges, my worthy opponents, and the audience. In the words of our local Calypsonian trilogy, wake me up, 'cause I must be dreaming. We seem to be blinded by the glaring effects of obesity, which are hurting the adolescents physically and mentally without them even realizing it. Well, not today, because my teammates and I stand resolutely in the belief that the recent body positivity movement is dangerous because it has led to the desensitization of adolescents to the health risks associated with obesity. My teammate has already outlined a superb argument exploring the present outlook of the topic, stating that the consequences of obesity are real and dangerous, children are impressionable, and trends are only trendy when your body can handle it. I will now elaborate on the future outlook and non-physical consequences under 2 points. Obesity negatively affects mental health, and future health is more important than profit. Firstly, obesity negatively affects mental health. But what is mental health? It is defined by the Oxford Dictionary as a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. Victims of obesity often experience feelings of shame and inferiority, which can lead to various eating disorders, anxiety, and severe depression. An article titled Psychological Issues Associated with Obesity, published on May 2nd, 2024, in the British National Institute of Health Journal states that individuals living with obesity have 18% to 55% increased odds of developing depression. This indicates that while the body positivity movement encourages adolescents to embrace their appearance, which should strengthen their mental health, it also seeks to normalize obesity. This is a misguided message that has the opposite effect. It deceives children into thinking that there are no consequences for eating whatever you want in whatever quantities you choose. Surely, we can see why the sensitive youth should not be desensitized to these things. It must also be noted that this same movement espouses that even if these mental disorders occur, it is just a normal part of life when it comes to acceptance at any size, and the world should immediately cater to their new avoidable normal. However, we know that in practice, this is not the case. This fake reality created on social media platforms hinders its users, especially impressionable adolescents, from realizing the real mental health risks and challenges of obesity. Moreover, Madam Moderator, many of these body positivity influencers themselves have in recent times been taking strides to become more fit. This can leave their adolescent audience feeling abandoned, betrayed, and aggravated, as these influencers, whom they look up to, contradict everything they once promoted. Take the American rapper and singer Lizzo, whose audience was quite angry at her recent weight loss process. Coupled with this, an article published by New York Times on the 26th of February, 2024, entitled, "They Promoted Body Positivity, Then They Lost Weight." This discusses how fat activist Virginia Soul Smith infuriated her followers by losing weight, and it shows a troubling trend. Secondly, prioritizing future health is far more important than focusing on earning present profit. Madam Moderator, in this new age of social media, you find influencers such as the Fab Fatties, Plus Size Hansi, and La Fatfluencer. These are obese or morbidly obese influencers that promote body positivity movements on their platforms. It could be argued that fatfluencers are not actually trying to help adolescents to love themselves and feel comfortable in their own skin, but instead, they are trying to normalize health risks and obesity to make themselves feel more comfortable and to use it as a source of income. Madam Moderator, shows like My 600-Pound Life profit off of obesity, hence encouraging this mindset. This can lead to our adolescents valuing profit over health, since many adolescents already take their health for granted. In an interview with Dominica's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Lenora Drago, she stated, "Young people take it for granted that they have a long life ahead of them and that sickness and lifestyle changes are for the older generation. This being said, the tendency is to ignore advice because we have time." Furthermore, adolescents may start overlooking the consequences of obesity, beginning to perceive it as a way to earn substantial income, as these influencers have. Adolescents who follow this narrative run the risk of developing chronic illness, having a lower quality of life, and eventually having to pay more for healthcare. Obesity-related tests such as lipid panels costing up to $100, blood sugar tests for diabetes priced at $300, and cholesterol tests at $400 are just some of the many costs that these influencers will have to cover for the rest of their lives. Thus, it seems, Madam Moderator, that the influencers are making so much money, the cost of healthcare is not an issue. No, Madam Moderator, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And ultimately, health is true wealth. Health in the future holds greater value than making money now. In today's economy, where everyone is trying to make ends meet, we would hate for our youth to see this lifestyle as an avenue to create income. No, Madam Moderator, do not mistake what the proposition is saying. We want our adolescents to feel comfortable in their skin and be the best version of themselves. However, we do not want them to risk their health for the sake of profit. We do not want them to be so desensitized to obesity that they no longer see the health risks and negative impacts, but only see the dollar signs. Once again, I say to you, Madam Moderator, I say to you, audience, I say to myself, we need to wake up. The effects of obesity are glaring, even if we're becoming desensitized to this reality. We need to safeguard the future of our adolescents by doing something about it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Alejandra. For the judges, her time was 7 minutes and 14 seconds. I'd now like to call on the second speaker from the opposing team, the Wesley High School, to deliver her arguments. Miss Adore Defoe. I call you to the podium. Miss Defoe has 7 minutes in which to deliver her arguments.
Honorable judges, esteemed moderator, my most worthy opponents, my respected colleagues, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My colleague has presented a compelling case that the body positivity movement is not dangerous, and I will repeat, not dangerous. She has presented the undeniable truths of the body positivity movement by highlighting its benefits of uplifting individuals and challenging restrictive societal norms. I will now delve deeper, demonstrating how the body positivity movement, when properly understood, not only does not desensitize adolescents to the health risks of obesity, but also actively promotes healthier outcomes. Firstly, body positivity is a framework for health, not an excuse for unhealthy habits. According to an online article dated July 13, 2020, in Delhi Hindustan Times, the body positivity movement is rooted in people's wants and needs to be able to accept themselves and others around them, rather than what popular media would want them to be. Put simply, it is clear the movement champions self-acceptance across all body shapes and sizes, recognizing the inherent worth of every individual. Therefore, it's crucial for you to understand what body positivity really is and what it is not. It is not about promoting unhealthy behaviors. It's about fostering a healthy relationship with one's bodies, which includes recognizing the importance of overall well-being. Esteemed moderator, permit me therefore to examine the research from the National Eating Disorders Association, which highlights that body positivity, when practiced authentically, emphasizes 1, health at every size. This concept focuses on adopting healthy behaviors, such as physical, regular activity, and nutritious eating, regardless of weight and shape. 2, respectful and inclusive language, avoiding weight-based discrimination and promoting a compassionate approach to health. 3, challenging unrealistic beauty standards, promoting diverse body representations and encouraging self-acceptance. And lastly, empowering adolescents, building confidence and cultivating health. Nowhere does it even hint that it desensitizes adolescents to the health risks associated with obesity. In fact, it does quite the opposite. Secondly, it advocates for self-love and self-care. Esteemed moderator, honorable judges, most worthy opponents, we know that adolescence is a critical period for shaping self-esteem. Do we truly want our youth believing that if they do not conform to unrealistic and often unattainable beauty standards, that they are inadequate? The answer? A resounding no. Hence the remedy. Body positivity provides a powerful antidote to this harmful narrative. It was clinical psychologist Dr. Ruby, in an article printed April 29, 2022, who noted that research has shown that body image is closely linked to mental health and weight management. Let's then clear the air. It is by fostering a positive body image we help with weight management and empower adolescents to prioritize their well-being. According to the Better Health Channel, well-being is a combination of social, mental, emotional, physical well-being. My most worthy opponents, be reminded that the movement has never purported overeating or not paying attention to oneself, or even for making money. Now let's refer to another research from the Journal of Adolescent Health, which demonstrates that adolescents with a positive body image are more likely to engage in regular physical activity. Cultivating self-compassion, a core tenet of body positivity, can lead to healthier eating habits and improved self-care behaviors. Esteemed moderator, am I to believe that those of us who love how we look and have a positive body image don't exercise or just neglect our health? Or those who fall under the category of obese, it is because they are a part of the body positivity movement? It would really be a sad day when the answer to that question is yes. My most worthy opponents, with all due respect, I think you need to clearly examine the goals of the body positivity movement. It has never encouraged neglect of health or the making of money to eat. Self-love is self-love. Thirdly, let's look at the causes of obesity. It was cited by Dr. Ruby that the three main reasons for obesity are lack of exercise, environmental factors, and genetics. Well, I've got news for you. The body positivity movement has placed a check mark on A, exercise, which I've already mentioned, environmental factors like body shaming and discrimination, which my colleagues so gracefully discussed, and coping with obesity, even if caused by genetic issues. A coin has two sides, so taking a collaborative approach, it is crucial to acknowledge that obesity poses significant health risks. However, stigmatizing individuals based on their weight is counterproductive. The World Health Organization emphasizes that weight-based discrimination can lead to social isolation and mental health issues. A compassionate, a supportive approach, combined with evidence-based health education, is more effective in addressing obesity than shame and stigma. Body positivity advocates for a collaborative approach that addresses health concerns while fostering inclusivity and respect. In conclusion, honorable judges, the body positivity movement, when practiced authentically, does not desensitize adolescents to the health risks of obesity. Instead, it provides a framework for fostering healthy relationships with their bodies, empowering them to prioritize their well-being, and addressing health concerns with compassion and inclusivity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Defo. For the judges, her time was 6 minutes and 46 seconds. So this concludes the prepared arguments segment of the debate. And now the debaters are to prepare their rebuttals. And of course, we will give them some time to do so before the clock is set for the 5 minutes that they have. I will give them a little extra time by allowing you to know who the Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition is being made possible by, our sponsors. So I'm not starting that 5-minute clock just yet, timekeeper, but I'm going to let our listening audience know that this competition is sponsored by quite a few people and entities, primarily Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. And other sponsors include the National Bank of Dominica, Jay's Bookstore Limited, DeWasco, DBS Radio, Q95 FM, Domlec, Moro and Company, the National Cooperative Credit Union, HHV Whitchurch and Company Limited, Lindomat, the Insurance Company of the West Indies, Fine Foods Inc., and KFC. And this afternoon, the Best Speakers Prize will be sponsored by Maisel Pascal and Grace Foundation. Now, that I have acknowledged some of our entities that are sponsoring, and I will list some individual sponsors after. But this is the time that the debaters get to prepare their rebuttal. So timekeeper, you can begin that 5-minute clock at this time. And during these 5 minutes, I will beg for your cooperation in being as quiet as possible, not how it was when I was listing our very generous sponsors, but quieter than that, so that the debaters can focus and prepare their rebuttal. So the clock is ticking. Debaters, 5 minutes. says that 5 minutes have elapsed. Just to let our listeners know that for the prepared arguments segment of the debate, the judges were looking for soundness of points, logical development, audibility and clarity, posture and personality, and command of material. And now for the rebuttal, the judges will be scoring the debaters on team coordination, their general analysis of the debate, their recall of points, their ability to refute the points, and spontaneity. So these are the criteria on which the rebuttal segment will be judged. And it is now time for those rebuttals. So I have stalled and stalled, but now it's time. So from the proposing side, the Convent High School, I now invite the lead speaker to deliver the rebuttal, Ms. Danica Paul. I welcome you back to the podium.
Good afternoon again to all. I stand again to reaffirm our stance on this topic, that yes, the recent body positivity movement is dangerous because it has led to the desensitization of adolescents to the health risks associated with obesity. I am also going to point out some fallacies in the arguments of my most worthy opponents. Firstly, my opponents pointed out that BMI is not a sufficient measure as it doesn't account for genetics and muscle mass. However, when people go in to the doctor's office, they are aware of these things. And simply, BMI is supposed to be used as a guide, and it is a useful guide. Secondly, my opponents pointed out that when body positivity is practiced authentically, it is meant to encourage things such as healthy eating and regular exercise. However, people often do not practice it authentically. As observed, they often use it as an opportunity to ignore obvious health risks and use it as an opportunity to simply relax and lay back because it is fine to be the way they are. Thirdly, my opponents pointed out that often traditional health values often cause adolescents to develop eating disorders. However, obesity often causes eating disorders as well. Often, people with obesity develop mental health issues, which cause them to go through cycles where they perhaps binge and starve themselves. Madam Moderator, we must do better for our youth and protect them from all that would lead them down the path of a very challenging, unhealthy future. Thank you.
Thank you, Danica. For the judges, her rebuttal was 2 minutes and 46 seconds long. I'd now like to call on the leader from the opposing team from the Wesley High School, Miss Naiola Aline, to deliver her rebuttal.
Honorable judges, Madam Moderator, esteemed opponents, and my respected colleague, good afternoon once again. Our esteemed opponents argue that body positivity movement is dangerous and desensitizes adolescents to the health risks of obesity, leading to complacency regarding harmful behaviors. However, this argument is both simplistic and unsupported by evidence. Body positivity encourages, not neglects, healthy behaviors. Physiological evidence of reduced stress. A study published in Health Psychology 2014 found that individuals who practiced body acceptance experienced lower cortisol levels, a key stress hormone. Chronic stress, often caused by body shaming and societal pressures, leads to conditions like hypertension, cardiovascular diseases, and metabolic disorders. By reducing stress, body positivity directly improves physiological health outcomes. My most worthy opponents, which is more likely to promote better health outcomes, shame or self-acceptance? I respectfully decline the idea that shame is the path to better health. Self-acceptance and body positivity have proven to be the healthier choice. Weight stigma harms physical health. Contrary to the claim that body positivity harms health, it is weight stigma, the societal pressure to conform an ideal body size, that causes significant physiological harm. Improved mental and physical integration. According to Neuroscience and Biobehavioral Reviews 2020, a positive self-concept enhances the prefrontal cortex regulation of emotional and decision-making processes. This promotes healthier choices such as balanced diets and regular exercise, without the mental distress caused by shame or guilt. In conclusion, the body positivity movement is not dangerous. It is transformative. It promotes holistic health, combats harmful diet culture, provides a safe and supportive space for individuals, and is backed by scientific evidence that underscores its benefits. Honorable judges, I urge you to reject the motion and embrace a society where health and acceptance thrive together. We strongly urge you to reject the motion and recognize body positivity as a vital and beneficial force in shaping a healthier and more inclusively society. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Aline. For the judges, her rebuttal was 3 minutes and 3 seconds long. This concludes the debate between the Convent High School and the Wesley High School. I'd like to ask you at this time to give all the debaters a big round of applause. Those from the proposing team from the Convent High School, Ms. Danica Paul and Ms. Alejandra Gordon, and those from the Wesley High School, Ms. Nayola Aline and Adori Defoe. I'd now like to ask the judges' assistants to please escort the judges to the conference room where they will deliberate and hopefully return in quick time. I always like to remind the judges their 15-minute allocation of time to come back with the results. Thank you. And the debaters, you can rejoin your classmates, your teams. We are going to put you off the hook now and just engage in free discussion on the topic, not on your performance, but on the topic at hand this afternoon for debate. So now is our chance to engage freely in a discussion on the topic. Possibly some views may come through. Some people may have had some viewpoints on this topic that they are very eager to share, so we'll see how that goes. I want to acknowledge the presence of the debating club, is it, from the Orion Academy, and to acknowledge that the Orion Academy is the champion school of the Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition. I notice Mr. Maxwell is in the room. I think you may want to, maybe, I might want to put pressure on you to be the first up in the discussion segment, seeing that you are a part of that winning team from last year's debate. So we have as well, of course, the Convent High School students present, the Wesley High School students present. I see we have some teachers in the room and some parents in the room, and I appreciate the presence of the parents. I always say, parents, please come out to support your young people, so I really appreciate that. And I do have as well some Dominica State College students. So this is the time for discussion and for us to know how you feel on certain things. I think one of the first questions I want to pose, and I've lost both my students, somebody to hold on to the roaming mic. Joachim, you can do that for me for now, and when somebody returns, you can pass it over. So we do have a roaming mic, so if you want to make a contribution to the discussion, there is a mic that will be passed to you. My first question to this audience, and specifically to the young people in the room, do you feel, this is my first question, do you feel that the fat shaming or body shaming approach, which is something that was referenced in some of the arguments this afternoon, but fat shaming or body shaming or calling people out for their body size, do you believe that this is a form of bullying, and how do you feel this affects young people like yourselves? My first question is out to the young people. Fat shaming or speaking about somebody's weight, do you feel that is bullying the person, and do you feel that what type of impact do you feel that has on the young person? Anybody wants to start the ball rolling in this discussion? Yes, I see we have a hand up.
Good day, everyone. I think it is bullying, and it may sometimes cause someone to cause suicide due to bullying, because someone who is big, from experience, very close to someone who is big, and sometimes they feel very unwanted due to the being of being fat. So I understand what they are saying, and I get that bullying may sometimes seem extreme to someone who's being shamed because of their size. So I think it's not good to be bullying about how fat you are. Sometimes it's just something you can't get over, or something you're going through causes that.
Thank you. Does anyone want to add or to be included in this discussion as it relates to fat shaming and bullying? What do you think, making references, negative ones, to someone's weight, is that bullying the person, and how can that affect them?
Okay. Fat shaming and bullying is very bad, but it should not be allowed in certain schools, because fat shaming is practically judging someone for how they look, for their appearance, and that shouldn't be a thing, because people have different conditions, they have different situations they're going through, and you never know what they're going through. So to bully someone about how they look is very immature, in other words. Yeah.
Okay,
That's my
you.
response.
Anybody else wants to touch on that? Yes, I see a hand is up.
Good afternoon.
Good Good afternoon.
Personally, I feel that all forms of bullying are bad and should be looked down upon, but bullying somebody or fat shaming them specifically, I think is often sometimes something that people do to people when they want to weaponize something against them. So you can express concern if you think that somebody is, I'll say, fat or overweight to the point where it's unhealthy. But that's not the same as saying, but you're that girl fat too. Like, you don't have to say it in an insulting way. It's like anything else. If you feel concerned about somebody genuinely, you can tell them in a nicer way than trying to embarrass them in front of a group of people. Those are two completely different things.
Okay. Thank you for that. I want to continue the discussion in this way. We're talking about the body positivity movement and it possibly, in the topic that we're dealing with, having led to the desensitization of adolescents to the health risks associated with obesity. I want to know, us in this room, I guess the majority of us being Dominicans here, to what role do you feel culture and our culture here has desensitized? Those are very dramatic, very dramatic call to action from Josephine Gabriel here this afternoon. Yes, but to what extent do you feel that culture also has desensitized young people? Of course, we know how popular some concepts are locally, like being thick, is the preferred term, or now we have the big belly season as a very normalized term, very popular term that people are using. So to what extent do you think that just our general culture here in Dominica desensitizes young people to the health risks associated with obesity? Anybody wants to comment on that? Culturally, do you think that our culture is just a desensitization, what we consider normal here?
Well, I believe that in our culture, currently, the culture has changed, so more young people are listening to the music and deciding that it's okay for them to just be how they are, and it can be a risk to themselves because, as you know, obesity might not be the best way to go, and you should not go to obesity. You should help yourself, save yourself, and stay as healthy as possible, as fit as possible, because fitness will help you live longer as well. So the culture causes young people to just let themselves go basically and just allow themselves, because it's accepted now that you should be obese, not obese, but just bigger of size, in a bigger size. So yeah, the culture causes a big deal of young people to just be just all right with how they are and how they're moving, even if it's not the best thing. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Maxwell. Somebody else wants to add to that?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. In addition to what Mr. Maxwell said, I do feel like a local culture tends to influence what adolescents engage in, especially young girls. I feel because a lot of local people here in Dominica, they consider fit girls to be the norm, and a lot of the time these fit girls are overweight, and it is a problem, it's overlooked. And this acceptance of fit girls leads, slim girls to overeat or engage in unhealthy eating habits. And I feel that, the urge to fit in really leads them to forget about their health, So, yeah.
Thank you. And of course, that is such an interesting perspective. that part about, you know, needing to fit in based on what is culturally acceptable, and possibly if you know, someone is smaller, wanting to fit in by trying to get bigger. Interesting perspective for me, of course, having always been big, so I've always wanted to be smaller. So it's, you know, so it's just an interesting perspective. And that leads me to this question then: is body positivity and that movement only about body size? So, and is it only about accepting bigger body sizes? What is there any aspect of the movement to do with a smaller body size or with other aspects of appearance? So what is your take on body positivity on a whole? Is it just meant to appreciate or accept bigger body sizes? Is it about something else? Yes, Ms. Defo, I see your hand is up.
Thank you. Good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon.
What the body positivity movement not only it doesn't only, well, as it would seem from the media, they would make it seem like it's only about supporting bigger body types. It would make it seem like it's only about body. While if that same media, if you really look at it, there are people who, because of the body positivity movement, there are people who, well, ladies specifically, who are born with traction alopecia, stuff like that, where their hair is balding, they're going bald, and they're what, 20-something? And because of shame, because of this bullying that was mentioned earlier, they never came out and speak about it. But now they are confident in their bodies. They know that while this might not be normal for everyone, this is what I'm going through, and I love myself. I love my hair. I love my body. I slim. I fat. I have no hair. I have the whole head of hair. You know, they love their body regardless.
Yes. You see, we have a back and forth going on here between the Convent High School and the Wesley High School in the discussion segment. And I'm going to continue to try to rope in the Orion Academy, who, by the way, will join the competition in round 2. So I'm going to continue to try to rope them in. Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. So one thing, I have prior knowledge about the body positivity movement and all the stigma around it, because I was quite interested in it long before, you know, this debate was being taken place. And one thing I noted while I was, you know, being engaged with the topic is that the body positive movement is for all bodies, regardless, you know, of whether you're bigger or smaller, and it's usually catered to, you know, people who feel like they do not fit the beauty standard, which is, you know, a slim person. And the body positive movement is really a really, in theory, a great movement, because, you know, we find a lot of people, you know, ashamed of how they are, ashamed to wear certain clothes. You know, certain people, even if they feel like they fit the standard, they feel like they are not good enough, and they have something called body dysmorphia. And but, you know, recently, you know, while I was engaging in the topic, I saw that, you know, a lot of people, like the fat influencers or whatever, are using the body positive movement as a basically shield to say, okay, I can do whatever I want, I can eat whatever I want, I'm fat and I am proud of it and whatnot. And it overshadows the other people who are, you know, slimmer and say, I feel insecure that I am slim. It overshadows all of that. So right now it's ironic, and it's having the negative effect of, you know, what the actual true meaning of the body positivity movement is. So it's crazy. Okay.
Thank you for that. So you're saying the true meaning of the movement is being obscured by, you know, some alternate types, uses of that movement. Does anybody else have a similar thought, or does anybody else have an opposing thought to that? Let's go to the Orion Academy first, then we'll come back across to the Convent High School.
The body positivity movement was originally designed for people with birth defects or burn victims. But as the world began to take a more modernistic approach to things, it began to encompass people that may felt that they were ostracized because their bodies did not fit the standard criteria of beauty that was being pushed throughout the media and throughout other things. So it has encompassed people of plus sized, but as it goes on, people may feel that it is okay to become unhealthy and to take a more drastic approach to this.
Okay, thank you. And then her hand was up.
Good afternoon again, everyone. In addition to what my peer was saying, yes, I do feel like the body positivity movement is a very great movement. As a teenager who spends a lot of her time on social media, I do see a lot of the body positivity movement, and I have found that it really helps individuals who have unique body features, or it doesn't even have to be physical, to be honest, your thoughts, and you can share this on the platform, and you can find others who are like you. A phrase that comes up a lot in social media is, "You've never had an original experience," and I feel that this is true. There's always going to be someone online who shares the same qualities as you. But on the other hand, I feel like the body positive movement has led people who have found their people to team up and try to put themselves out there as the more superior group. Everyone is trying to make themselves look as if they are the best. They have the best way to live, or they're the best way to look, and I feel like we should probably establish a body equality movement. Yes, but that is one of the downsides.
Thank you for that. So we have some, possibly new movements being suggested here in this room. Breaking Frontiers at the Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition, a body equality movement, and a very interesting perspective there. I want to ask, as we continue, in this discourse, I want to ask about representation and how important do you all think that representation is in this whole ideal of body positivity or body acceptance or body equality, if you may? Representation in the areas of pageantry, in media, in any sort of public forum. Representation in terms of different body sizes, different body types, different body, different looks. How important do you think that is in this whole body positivity, body equality movement that we are discussing? Is representation important? Is it important for us to see people of different shapes and sizes in the public domain, in pageants, in magazines and so on? Do you think that that's important? That's what I want to get. Do you think the Queen show should include people of different sizes? Do you think there should be only, should beauty standards be a particular way in these sort of public shows? So that's my question. What role do you think representation has to play? Anybody wants to take that? Anybody? And I should start opening up to the adults. I've excluded you all from the discussion, and the young people have participated very well. As a matter of fact, I'm very proud of the participation in this room from the students, from the young men who have spoken in a girl versus girl debate we have this afternoon, but we have young men weighing in on the topic. I'm very proud of that. But yes, anybody wants to take a stab at this representation? How important is it? Do you think we should be looking at that in terms of this body positivity movement that we are discussing? Anybody? Yes. Yes, Ms. Seja.
Good afternoon, everybody. While I think representation is important, I think, first of all, we have to reach a level of acceptance. So, for example, when you ask the question, I quickly ask your mom, because I don't know anything much about pageants, is there a requirement in pageantry for a weight size or a particular body type? She said no. All right? So why then is it that most people who go up or who put themselves up for these pageants fit a certain body size and body type? It's because of the nature of acceptance. It's accepted that a queen pageant should fit a certain body size and type. So before we even look at representation, we have to look at the general acceptance and how we. And let me just give a quick, like a personal example. I mean, before I looked at the topic, I didn't realize it was hinged on obesity, because I wondered why everybody was so focused on obesity. I even thought to myself, are there any slimfluencers online? Can anybody tell me? Because I'm not online. Are there slimfluencers? Okay, great. Because for me, it was the opposite. I mean, I grew up as what we call meg, right? And I didn't accept or like being meg until somebody else made me aware that it's acceptable to be slim. And then that's all I wanted to stay. I wanted to stay slim. But before that, it was, especially back in my time, now it's a bit frowned upon, because now we're in big belly season, as Miss Christian said, and we're in the thick girl season. But back when I was growing up, that wasn't the case. That was still the case, I guess, because everybody would be like, you meg like a Zubalao, and we were really meg shamed, right? There was no fat shaming. So I didn't like being slim, until somebody told me that, it's great to be slim. It's good, you look good, So then I started accepting the notion, and then I felt good. So even before we look at representation, culturally and socially, we have to create an avenue where different body types, different body sizes, different hairstyles, different hair types, different everything. I mean, we have a greater topic about hair. Mm-hmm. Nice hair versus not nice hair, so we can carry this topic so far. Mm-hmm. So it's a cultural thing, and it's about accepting people as they are, where they are, whenever, all right? Before we even look at representation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes. And we have so much, that we can include here. You spoke about hair. We can speak about skin color or complexion. We're still in the realm of shabin, and so certain things that are popular to describe people with, or to ascribe some sort of superiority to. It's really still very alarming or concerning to me that we still, I'm hearing it a lot in the music and so on, this whole shabin women thing, shabin, and, we talk about the hair, yes, the nice hair and the Gwenny hair. We talk about, so there is so much that can be roped into this, but I think someone else wanted to contribute, yes.
Good afternoon. So the question was if there
representation.
Representation.
Yes. Okay.
So in bodybuilding, I'll give an example. In bodybuilding, there are different weight classes. So there's above 200 pounds, below 200 pounds. So this is because the difference in weights can cause a difference in how a person's body looks upon after bodybuilding. So that is why in a pageant, it would make more sense for there to be weight classes in a pageant, slim, thick, because this would allow for the disparity. You cannot just put thick women and slim women in the same pageant, because that would cause the judges to be confused on how they should judge people, if it's by their slimness or if it's by their thickness, which is why weight classing by weight in a pageant would make more sense. But bodybuilding, like how it is done in bodybuilding. So I think it would be like a good representation of how pageants should be in order to show a good, difference in body sizes.
Okay. I see Miss Jeffrey's hand is up. Right here.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My students have been looking at me, so here I am on the microphone, because I am the pageant lady, yes? Okay, good. So when we look at weight, the younger pageants, usually weight doesn't factor in. You have talent, you come, you show it, you go on stage, you win a crown, all is well. The segregation begins when you go older, when you start to look at the criteria of things like muscle tone, when you put girls in swimsuits and you ask them to look a certain way and pose a certain way, and you do see the line of the muscle when they stretch their legs. The segmentation, the weight class, that has existed for quite a while. We had the Miss Pleasantly Plump, the Miss Big and Beautiful, and notably these kinds of pageants died out after a while because bigger girls need to have more encouragement to show themselves off. So when you talk about representation, especially in pageantry, yes, by all means. What we need to do is to augment our criteria if we are going to put everybody into one competition, or we could always bring back the most Miss Pleasantly Plump, which was a fabulous show.
Okay, so thank you. So I see the judges have returned, so it's time for us to wrap up this very interesting discussion that we've been having. I really appreciate your engagement, audience, and particularly students. I appreciate your contribution to the discussion. From my perspective, I just want to end with a call that I always make publicly, and it's relating to empathy, relating to, we're talking body positivity, but my call always is to be empathetic to other human beings like yourself, whether it is based on their size, whether it is based on their circumstance, whether it is based on any other factor. So we did have quite a bit of discussion about bullying, fat shaming, and so on, and acceptance and representation. But I like to encourage everyone always to just be empathetic. You really don't know, what other people are going through and what words can mean to other people. So that's what I'll end this discussion with. I know the judges are back, and the chief judge is due to give a critique of the debate. So we're getting back into debate mode, or into the procedure of the debate mode, and I will call on Mr. Kevin Julian, the chief judge, this afternoon to give the critique on behalf of the judging panel. Mr. Julian?
Good afternoon, everyone. It is indeed a pleasure to be here today. First and foremost, the panel of judges would like to say thank you to every single person who showed up today, and more in particular, thank you to the debaters who took the courage to come forward and debate. A round of applause for them. It definitely takes courage to come forth and speak publicly. And we would like to thank the various schools that are present. I see Orion, and I see Wesley High School and the Convent High School. I'm not sure if there are any other schools present, but we would like to thank you for coming out and supporting the debaters. That's very important. Support is important. So a brief critique. Today was marvelous. We enjoyed thoroughly the debate and the argument put forward by both sides. Some of the things that we liked would be the authenticity of the responses, the ability to quote sources and credible sources at that. The use of authorities further solidifies the point that you are trying to make. That is important. And the use of reasoning, logical reasoning, the ability to make things relatable to everyone inside this space. That is very important, because it allows you to think and analyze what the debaters are saying and see how it can apply to you or to someone that you know. That is very, very important. It was evident that there were extensive research done and teamwork. Each debater had their own unique style of debating, and that is something that you develop over time. And I would like to tell each one of the debaters that we are very proud of you and your own unique style of debating. A round of applause for each debater. They were very articulate. Now, to some of the things that perhaps could be improved on. Too much reading. I think that is the first thing that we realized as judges, that too much reading, way too much reading. Perhaps cue cards would work in the future, but again, whatever style and method suits you, then that is fine. But the ability to debate by glancing at your paper now and then is important, as opposed to constantly reading. We would have loved to see a bit more personality, right? Whilst you were reading, it kind of dampened your ability to really personalize it. So perhaps that is one of the areas that could definitely be worked on moving forward. But these are the few remarks that we have, and we would just want to say thank you everyone for showing out, and congratulations to both sides.
Okay, so now it is time for the results, and I'd now like to invite the debaters back to their positions. Now it's time for you to take center stage once again to hear the verdict of the judges, Miss Danica Paul and Miss Alejandra Gordon of the Convent High School, and Miss Niola Aline and Adore Defo of the Wesley High School. Okay, so now it's results time. I'll start off with who, or announcing who the judges have determined to be the best speaker in this afternoon's debate. And the best speaker prize this afternoon is going to, from the Wesley High School, Miss Adore Defo. Ms. Defo was the second speaker for the Wesley High School. She has, according to the judges this afternoon, captured the prize of Best Speaker. Now for the scores. The total score that a team can get is 780 points. 780 points. I have one team scoring 595 points, and one team scoring 637 points. The team scoring 595 points is the Convent High School, the proposing team, and the team scoring 637 points is the Wesley High School, the opposing team. Meaning that the Wesley High School has been adjudged as the winners of this afternoon's debate. I congratulate all the ladies, and now is the time to present them with their prizes for their performance this afternoon. Of course, we have had 5 debates in this round, and I'll just announce that moving to the second round of competition will be the Wesley High School, who has just won, the Portsmouth Secondary School, the Pierre Charles Secondary School, the St. Martin Secondary School, and the Dominica Grammar School. These 5 schools winning their debates this week will join the Orion Academy in round 2 of the Intersecondary Schools debating competition next month. So I'd now like some assistance with distributing the prizes to our debaters this afternoon. Let's start with the Best Speaker prize, which goes to Miss Adore Defoe of the Wesley High School. And her prize is sponsored by the Macel Pascal and Grace Foundation. The runners-up in this afternoon's debate from the Convent High School. Let's present the prizes to Miss Danica Paul. And Miss Alejandra Gordon. Mommy. Okay, let's just hold off on that part of it, and let's complete the prize distribution. The winning team from the Wesley High School, Miss Niola Arlene and Miss Adore Defoe. Please stand. Congratulations to Miss Arlene and Miss Defoe. The coach from the Convent High School, I would like to give her a token of appreciation. The rest of the token is coming. This is one half of the token. But Miss Sherry Jeffrey, I'd like to call you to receive a token of our appreciation. One of our sponsors will provide the remainder of the token. And of course, to the coach who, through her hard work, has brought her team here to round 1. Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. And to the judges who gave of their time this afternoon to assist in this debate proceeding, I'd like to thank you for your time and give you a token of our appreciation. Mr. Dr. Barry Kazemi. Mr. Kevin Julian. And Mrs. Antonia Yankee. Thank you, judges. Thank you, debaters. For the runners-up, there is something else we will give in 1 second. But thank you so much. And audience, thank you so much for turning out in your numbers to this debate. As I said, round 2 of the debate is scheduled for February 19th, 20th, and 21st. And we will have the 6 schools that I called being a part of that round. So I look forward to your engagement again in the next round of the Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition. Thank you to the partners for this competition, the Dominica State College's Literary and Debating Society, the University of the West Indies Global Campus, the Ministry of Education, and Exquisite Events and Rentals, and of course to all the sponsors who have come through. Thank you so much, particularly our head sponsor, Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. Thank you to my mom for facilitating the prize giving here this afternoon. And thank you to the media, DBS Radio and Dominica News Online, for your coverage this afternoon. I hope to see you, as I said, in the next round of the competition. Good afternoon, and please, there are some drinks that my students have been trying to bring ahead of time, but before you leave, please make sure you get a drink from our sponsor, Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited, of course, Quenchy, and we also have some orchard juice from HHV Whitchurch and Company Limited. Thank you so much, and see you next month.